Best backstage fight you ever saw?
I'm going to have to go with the Orndorff Vader.
You know, I've seen Paul Orndorff naked with a pair of shower shoes kick Vader's head in.
True, it was one-handed.
Yeah.
In shower shoes.
In shitty fucking 99-cent with the where your toe gimmick has just that ball that comes through. I mean, not flip-flops. I'm talking shitty 99-cent shower shoes.
And he dropped them.
Like twice.
And then I also saw him beat up a 500-pound manatee in the dressing room in Atlanta. Yeah, Vader. He went down real quick. You ever seen a man beat up another man with shower shoes on? Makes a funny sound. Sounds like a round of applause from old people.
They got up and he hit him like twice.
That's the night at the TV taping that Vader was walking along like a bully, and finally he shouldered the shit out of Orndorff, who was an agent at the time, had his piece of paper going around helping guys out.
And his flip-flops.
And his flip-flops.
I will comment on this because Eric had said, Leon, I have asked you to take photos for 6 weeks straight. You know, and that's right, that's the truth. And for 6 weeks straight, I found a reason not to go. So in other words, before you went to CNN Center, which is where we did our taping, I was supposed to go over to and do 4 hours of, you know, you take your uniform and you put the hot stuff on and you put the mask on and you flex and flex and flex, and it's grueling. It was the worst thing ever you had to do. I mean, and then you're exhausted because you flex and pump for 6 hours, and then you got to go wrestle 9 times, right, on 9 of those little shows. So Eric said, Leon, you promised me you have to do it. So I'm doing that for him, and then I show up late because I was doing with my boss. See, there was nobody else that was my boss except for Eric. Eric Bischoff was my boss. Said on my paycheck that, you know, my contract said that Eric Bischoff was my boss. Nobody else. And so I did what my boss told me to do, and I showed up, probably 4 hours late.
I know that they asked him, I was doing something, and I think Dave Pinzer went and asked Vader to do some interviews, and he said no, and then somebody else went and asked him, and he said no, and finally somebody said, Kevin Sullivan said, Paul, would you go ask Tim? Maybe he'll listen to you. Please ask him to see if he'll come and do the interview.
Vader and Paul got in an argument. So when I got there, I'm late, and I get mother bleep this, mother bleep this, fat mother bleep that.
From who?
Well, that was the Orndorff thing.
Because it's like 6 o'clock. The people are film people, the union, so they go on a break lunch or whatever. So, you know, we started about 7 something. So we only had about 15 minutes, and it was a very important interview. And I just, like I'm talking here to you, I said, Leon, do you mind doing this interview?
You're late, and these guys want to take lunch. Couldn't get nothing out. The boss told me I had to go take these pictures. So that's how it started.
I was there that day, and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff was the agent, and when Vader was an employee for the WCW, and I was over there that day to probably I can go and be employed for the WCW, and the little guy come tell Van Vader they need him for an interview. But when Vader told he was talking to the man, paint his face, what do you call him, a stink? A stink?
Yes. But
you know what I'm talking about? The paint his face and a
sting.
A sting, right, I can't say that.
What the hell did he say?
They was talking together, and then little guy come to the big man Van Vader, they need him for interview. And the big man tell the little guy, I'm not ready, and I'm not going to be ready for a long time. And the man is on the contract for $500,000. He should be on time. He should be ready. So anyway, Paulie, my neighbor, Mr. Paul Orndorff, he just get the job, and that time Kevin Sullivan was on the charge, Eric Bishop, and then Gene Min was there, and then they send Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, come to tell Van Vader, what the hell, man, we need you for interview. The only thing he said, what the hell, man, we need you for interview, move, come out. And then big man gets up, and a big man gets up, and he badmouthed Paul Orndorff, he caused Paul Orndorff.
You know, he said some nasty words, and you know, it was kind of like this, what's your deal?
And for 4 or 5 minutes, and I was watching him, and that day Haku was on that locker room, myself, and Dickie Slider, and some other big name.
What the hell did he say?
So anyway, I'll make the longest story short. The big man, Mr. Van Vader, he caused Paul Orndorff very, very, very bad.
You know, I ain't gonna let nobody talk to me that way. You know, he talked really, and I don't know why. That's the sad thing, I don't know why.
Because I was doing what I was told to do.
And one thing led to another. I mean, it got hotter and hotter and hotter.
He got in my face, and you know, he was inches away from my face.
And then he sucker punched me.
And when Orndorff just beat Vader unmercifully, Vader shoved him first, pushed him, and he was walking around naked with a pair of shower shoes on out of the shower.
Because, you know, I was with the office, and if I would have ever thrown the first punch, I'd been fired.
Right.
And that quick.
And apparently, big man, he threw the first punch and hit Paul Orndorff's leg. Paul fell down.
You know, I dropped my right hand and I slapped him right here in the face.
Vader slapped Paul in the face with that glove. You know, he used to wear those gloves, and I mean, he bare part him in the face.
And I hit him hard because I was upset, but it was an open hand slap. And when I did, I mean, the moment I hit him, I realized, you know, that regardless of what he was saying, I mean, to hit somebody like that's wrong.
Paul took a shitter into a box that was in the back of the center stage where they kept props and stuff.
Slapped him, you know, hard. His feet virtually came up over his head. When he came down head first, you know, on the back of his head, and in this hallway, the WCW wasn't well lit, and there was a box over there that people sat on, an old wood box.
Yeah.
Sat on it, and I mean, his head missed a corner of that thing by inches. And I thought, oh, you know, if his head hit that, you know, he's dead or seriously injured. And I remember when I walked over, I put my hand on his shoulder and went, you know, Paul, are you all right? And boy, he slapped his hand away and was getting to fight. And I said, well, he's all right.
And Vader jumped on him. When Vader jumped on him, he was choking Paul out, and they separated them. When they separated them, I said, let them go.
And mister, he ran into the wrong guy. They got into a scuffle, and at first he got the best of Orndorff, and then they jumped back into it.
And man, I got up, and if the right one don't get you, the left one will.
After Paul fell down, and a strength come from heart, and a German man, Paul Orndorff, even is like me, handicapped with one arm because one arm nerve problem, and he gets up after he threw his toe, a cop showed tobacco down, and and he get up, 1 punch, 2 punch, 3 punch, pull the big man all the way to the wall, and he get a double leg, take him down.
Yeah, I mean, my hands down. I mean, I saw him come. You know, he got up and he came across, and I tried to move with it, but he caught me in the lip, cut my lip, and I had my hands down on my side. And he caught me again, and boom, and caught me again the third time.
And Paul came out with it. He hit Vader right on the point of the chin and dropped Vader.
And I mean, I defended myself, and I don't know if you ever seen somebody knocked out on their feet. Have you ever seen them like stumble around and finally go down? That's how he went.
And Orndorff hit him with the swinging door left, dropped him, and put the boots to him. But in this case, the flip-flops.
And Paul had flip-flops on. It's a good thing he didn't have cowboy boots, because Vader was out on his knees, and Paul kicked him in the face, and his head actually went back and touched his ankles.
After he take him down, 1, 2, 3, kick bare feet, hit his nose and teeth. The big man, he didn't get up, his head go down.
And I kicked him in the face about 5, 6 times.
And then Ming came and stopped it.
And then after that, myself and Haku and Dickie Slider, and we pushed Paul over, and then I said, Paul, you don't want to kill the man. Enough, baby.
If I could have got a hold of a club or something else, I'm glad I didn't, but I would have killed him.
Yeah. I got the call from Brian Pillman. Brian called me back. Kid, you ain't gonna believe it. Paul Orndorff damn near killed Vader. If he'd been wearing a pair of high-techs, he would have. He kicked his ass with flip-flops.
Yeah, I was right next door. I didn't see it, but I saw Vader laying on the floor, and I heard everybody screaming, and I saw Paul walking out the door. He looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't take any more shit from the fat guy."
And then the big man, he crawl, and he gets up, and he go back in center of the stage. We have 3 locker rooms, and he go back, sit in that last locker room, and they put ice in his nose and the tea. And then finally, he come back again. The first locker room, Jody Hamilton, have a TV camera we watch the match from that room. And then again, Mr. Van Vader come, and he sucker punch again Paul, and he wants to fight with Paul back again, and then but it was too late.
And I kicked open the door where the executives were, you know, Eric wasn't there, but Shivani was there, and I said, Paul, tell you what, you know, if you want to finish this fight, because I haven't thrown a punch yet, and you've hit me 3 times with my hands on my side, and you know what, I'm still standing here, you haven't got the job done.
And then, to Vader's credit, he wanted to keep going. Afterwards, he said, fuck this, I'm going to go.
I called him out. I said, let's go outside, let's finish this. And he wouldn't come, and I finally got him to come, and as soon as he came, I blocked, I had him down, I was going to do him, and then Ming, who had went up to go get a hot dog, came over and saw it, and came over and grabbed me.
Yeah.
He said, stop me.
Then we got into it again, and I took a couple shots. But I worked that night. He had to go to the hospital.
And then we stopped them, but that time Mr. Eric Bishop come to tell him, hey man, you have to go, and that was one of the toughest, one of the vicious fight in the locker room of the professional wrestling many years around the world. That was a very, very tough and very, very tough fighting in the locker room. But shoot.
But I mean, it was a brutal fight.
I think, you know, I have to take responsibility for that, because regardless of his ignorance in terms of not knowing that Eric had me go to do the photo shoot.
Right.
And even though he had totally mistreated me as you know, one of the top guys in the company, and even if I had just been an enhancement guy, you don't treat people like that.
Sure.
Regardless of what he did, I have to take responsibility for putting my hands on him, and I paid a very dear price, because I had a long-term deal for substantial money, and it's cost.
Don't do that. That was wrong. He was wrong. And it cost him a lot of money. I could have sued him. And that's how it happened.
I've been in Leon's company. He's massive.
Orndorff's Orndorff's a fucking dude.
What was the vibe in the locker room?
They loved it. It kind of gave me it helped me.
Right.
It helped me to stay there another 5 years. So it wasn't all bad. But it was one of those, I mean, you don't like to do that. But then again, you don't, here's a guy that ain't been in the business. And you don't talk to people that way. Not in front of everybody in their locker. You don't do it. So it was my pride too. I mean,
right.
I'm glad he hit me.
Paul was a salty son of a bitch.
But he's just an intense fucking. He's a man's man. He don't like no bullshit. And he'll call you. He'll call anybody. He definitely wasn't afraid to go.
And just was one of those locker room deals where, hey, why, in other words, you're a big star and you show up late. So it wasn't the case. I was actually working.
Right.
I was, and right now, this is a bonus for you guys. Paul, I understand Paul's sick. My understanding is that he's got some form of throat cancer because of, and my heart goes out to him. I was doing autographs for, God, I don't know who, it doesn't matter. And he just walked up and, I stood up and took up my hand and he hugged me. And I hugged him back and he couldn't talk. And so I wanted to say that,
Well, time heals all wounds anyway,
well,
right? I mean,
that cost me not a lot of money, but a shitload of money.
It was absolutely 100% true and no BS. Well, yeah, he sucker punched me. Because I was an agent for Turner. As an agent, you tell the guys who they're working, and how long we want them to go, and blah, 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 blah. Well, when I went to him and told him everything that they wanted me to do, wanted me to tell him, he stood up and he said, "You kiss my ass." I said, "Brother, your ass is too fat for me to kiss." And he sucker punched me, knocked me down, and I got up and I beat the shit out of him. Excuse my language. I beat him. I kicked his face. There was blood all over the floor. They had to take him to the hospital. And if I had a gun then or a knife, I probably would have cut his throat.
Wow.
Thank God I didn't. Because all I was doing is my job, and he didn't like me. And he thought he was going to make a name for himself by kicking my ass. It didn't work. It backfired. That's the way it is. That's the way it was.